We will go on the record in the matter 23 TR 1032, Village of Siren versus Philip Ambeling. Appearances are, we do have Mr. Ambeling appearing in person without counsel. We have the Village of Siren appearing through attorney Adam Benson. We're set here today in this matter for a refusal hearing. Off the record, Mr. Benson informed the court that this matter is proceeding. Mr. Benson, you may call your first witness.
Call Officer Tanner Pardun, Your Honor.
Officer Pardun, please come forward, raise your right hand, be sworn in, and then come have a seat at the witness stand.
Do you swear that the testimony you are about to provide in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
All right, Mr. Benson, you may proceed.
Thank you. Would you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Tanner Pardun, Pardun.
And how are you currently employed, Mr. Pardun?
I'm a patrol officer for the Village of Siren.
And how long have you worked for the Village of Siren?
Just over a year now.
How long have you worked in law enforcement altogether?
Approximately 3 years.
And where did you train to become a police officer?
I was down at Northwood Technical College in Rice Lake.
Okay. And as part of that training, did you receive any training as a concerned persons operating while intoxicated?
Yes.
Okay. Were you on duty December 23rd, 2023 at approximately 10 p.m.?
I was.
And where were you at?
I was at the stoplights in Siren.
Okay. And that's in the Village of Siren?
Yes.
Burnett County, Wisconsin?
Yep.
And what did you observe, officer?
I observed a vehicle run the red light in front of me.
Okay. Can you tell us what kind of vehicle it was?
It was a white Cadillac. I do not remember the model.
Okay. And then when you saw the vehicle run the red light, did you pull that vehicle over?
Yes.
And who was driving that vehicle?
Philip Ambeling.
Okay. And is he present here today?
Yes.
Would you please identify what he's wearing to the court?
I believe it's a gray sweater, red shirt underneath.
And let the record reflect that Officer Pardun has identified Mr. Ambeling.
Okay. After you stopped him, roll down the window, anything like that?
Yep, on the
And-
passenger side.
And did you notice anything unusual?
I noticed his eyes were bloodshot, glassy. I detected an odor of intoxicants coming from within the vehicle.
Okay. Based upon that, did you ask to do any field sobriety testing?
Yes.
And did he do so?
No.
Did he refuse to do field sobriety testing?
Yes.
And did he give you a reason?
Yes. He said he had just undergone surgery and was heavily medicated.
Okay. So you find that unusual that you smelled alcohol and he was on medication?
Yes.
Okay. When he didn't do the field sobriety testing, did you attempt to use your portable breath test on him?
Yes.
And did he allow you to do that?
No.
What did you do after that?
He was then placed under arrest and transported to the Burnett County Jail for intoxicator.
Okay. May I approach to the clerk, Your Honor? Officer, I want you to look at what's marked exhibit number 1. Are you familiar with that document?
Yes.
And what is that document?
It's the informing the accused.
Okay. And is that something you read to Mr. Ambeling that evening? And did you read him the entire document?
Yes.
Okay. Word for word?
Yes.
Okay. And after that, did he still refuse to submit to a breath test?
Yes.
And After you did that, what did you do with Mr. Ambleberg?
I then filled out a notice of intent to revoke form.
And do you know if his license has been revoked yet or not?
Not currently.
Not currently. Okay. No further questions, Your Honor. I do have video of the incident if the court wants to watch 38 minutes of this stop.
This time I do not think I need to. Mr. Ambeling, it's now going to be your opportunity. You can ask questions to the officer
Okay.
on what you would
Okay.
like to do with regards to the incident and with what you would like to elicit from him in testimony.
Okay. I understand. You want me up there?
No,
Yeah?
you can just ask him questions.
Okay,
from
very
here.
good. He said I ran a red light. The light was amber. And I knew that I had,
Right now,
Objection,
though,
he's testifying, Your Honor.
okay,
I am sustaining the objection. And Mr. Ambling, right now, you can have an opportunity to testify too and to tell me anything that you want and any kind of narrative form. But right now, it's simply for you to ask questions to the officer, like that
Okay.
would involve yes, no, or a small
Okay.
little answer.
Officer Pardon, when you pulled me over, I rolled down the window. You asked me for a proof of insurance and my driver's license, which I gave to you.
Objection, he's testifying again, Your Honor.
Well, maybe he's going to say, is that correct?
Sorry.
Am I going to be harassed by him through this whole thing?
Well, here's the thing. That's his job, is to object or not object or say things, because in a hearing, the court has to follow things called rules of evidence.
Okay, well, I don't know what those are, Your Honor, so I'll try to.
And so the court is able to be more lenient with people who don't have attorneys such as yourself. But I can't tell you the law. I can't tell you how to do that as a job or I can't instruct you on what to do. But Mr. Benson does have the right to object to things that are not being done properly. But, and that's why if you noticed that when Mr. Benson said, well, I object, and I said, well, he could have said, is that correct? And then that would have been a question and that would have been proper and fine. Okay, so you can ask those things or however you were doing, but it has to be a question form to the officer. And then again, you will have the ability to tell me anything that you want about that night in any way or form. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
okay. Is it correct that when you asked me about taking a sobriety test, that I said I had been on some very serious medications and that I wouldn't pass it? Is that correct? And I told you I had 3 beers within a period of 6 hours of time at the VFW in Lewis. Did I not tell you that?
That's incorrect.
Pardon me?
That's incorrect.
I didn't hear the answer.
He said that's incorrect.
What did I say?
You asked him, is it correct that I told you that I had 3 beers within a period of 6 hours? I believe you said at the VFW or at the VW.
Yes, I may not have
VFW.
mentioned the period of time, but I had not had any for 2 hours before I left.
And again, you're testifying, right now you can only
Okay.
ask him questions. And right now the officer stated that that's not correct,
Okay.
that you told him that.
Is it correct that I told you I lived 2 blocks away from where you pulled me over and I
Yes.
needed to get home and take my medications?
Yes.
And I told you that you said I'm not going to tow your car, to leave it parked right on the street. I'm on duty. I will watch it for you. Correct?
Can you repeat
I
that?
didn't even hear that either. Can you bring the microphone more to your
Sure.
mouth and speak more
So
directly into it?
he said, I'm not going to tow your car, but we can leave it on the street because I'm on duty all night. I'll watch it for you. I said, okay, fine. Not that I was not able to.
And again, questions to the officer.
Can I question the attorney?
No.
Okay, he stated that it was 10 o'clock at night. It was not 10 o'clock at night.
Is
It
that
was-
a question?
It's a statement. It was 7:30, Your Honor.
Can't testify right now. If that's a question, it would need to be in the form of a question. You can say, all right, you stated that it was at 10 o'clock that night. Are you sure that that's correct? Are you sure it wasn't 7:30 that night? That's how you would bring about questioning a witness, okay?
Okay.
That's as much instruction as I can provide, though.
Is it not correct? It was 7:30 at night and not 10 o'clock.
At what point?
Where you were sitting at the intersection when I went through it.
Don't recall. It's in my report. I'd have to look.
Okay.
Do you have your report with you?
I do.
Please look at your report, refresh your recollection. Once your recollection is refreshed, please turn your report back over and down on the table and then respond.
It was 10 o'clock at night. Approximately 10 o'clock.
Any other questions?
No, I had proof that it was 7:30.
Well, you're gonna be able
Okay.
to testify as well.
I'm just embarrassing myself with this line of questioning because I don't understand, Your Honor.
Okay,
So I'll bypass it and go to whatever the next step is here.
okay. Do you have other questions, Mr. Benson?
I do not, Your Honor. Thank you.
You may step down, thank you. Okay. Now, Mr. Ambelang, this is gonna be your opportunity to provide me any information, any testimony that you want, just like you were trying to get out when you were questioning the officer, okay? Mr. Benson will then have an opportunity to question you,
Okay.
and then you would need to answer his questions, okay?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Mr. Benson, are you okay with him sitting right there? Or would you prefer him up here in the witness stand?
Sitting there is fine, Your Honor. He's
Can you
using
please
a
raise your
cane.
right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
So help me God, I
All
do.
right, you may begin.
Okay, I was at the VFW with some friends on that Sunday
What VFW?
in Lewis.
Okay,
And we were watching the Pittsburgh-Cincinnati football game together. And the game ended at about 6 o'clock. And during the course of the game, from 2 to 6, I had 3, perhaps 4 beers. I'm not sure. But I have people that can testify to the fact that that's what I had. So for the last 2 hours,
I just want to let you know, I don't know if you understand what this hearing is about. This hearing is not the trial, or it's not the
Okay,
case to
okay.
determine if you actually are guilty of an OWI. This is with regards to whether or not you had a right to refuse to
Okay.
do the tests, okay?
okay. Then I'll move on to,
But I'm fine if you want to give me information.
okay. I'm going to move on to this part in the information that I got from the court. And it says whether you refuse to permit the test. You shall not be considered to have refused the test if it is shown by a preponderance of evidence that the refusal was due to a physical inability to submit to the test due to a physical disability or disease unrelated to the use of alcohol, controlled substances, controlled substance analogs.
I'm just gonna tell, I know what the law says.
Okay, well, I'm using that because that was my case. I was on 3 different painkillers.
And you know, Mr. Ambeling, I'm gonna let you know that I understand that as it relates to the field sobriety testing, the walk and all of those, I forget the horizontal gaze, all of those things. I can't even pronounce some of them, the nystagmus, those things. That relates to those parts. But then there are 2 different things here. He's talking about not only the field sobrieties, but also the PBT, that breathalyzer. That's another one, okay?
Okay.
So you're saying that you were highly medicated, and you know the law, you have the law in front of you. So now provide me testimony and information why you believe you fit that exception, okay?
Because I was on tramadol, prednisone, antibiotics, and Tylenol 3.
I do need, oh no. I'm just saying, you're here without an attorney and you're saying things in a refusal hearing, and I need to give you a warning that everything that you tell me here
Okay.
can be used against.
I'm only going to tell the truth.
No, and I want you to tell the truth, but everything that you say here
Okay.
in this hearing, it's all being recorded and taken down for a
Okay.
transcript.
All right. It's fine.
And it all can be used against you at future hearings. So I need to provide you that warning,
Okay.
okay?
Okay. All right. So I told the officer at that point that I was willing to submit to a to any other testing that he asked me to do, or he didn't ask me. I said I would submit myself to a urine test or anything else that he needed. And he said, I don't need that right now. To my recollection. Okay. Am I doing okay?
Yes.
So at that point, he ordered me out of the car and took me to jail.
Okay, and I'm just gonna go over a little bit, like Officer Pardun testified that he asked you about the field sobriety, you informed him about certain things, you refused to do field sobriety, and then he asked you about doing the PBT, the breathalyzer, okay, blowing in the little machine. Anything you wanna talk about that? You don't have to.
No, I
You don't
will.
have to say
I will. I remember what I said to him. I said, I won't pass it. I know what kind of medications I'm on and I will not pass it. And it will not work out for me. That's what I said.
Do you know what a PBT, what a breathalyzer is?
Well, I've known people that have had them. I've never had to take one before.
All right, anything else you want me to know?
Yeah. I just think all the way everything was handled by him was not right. And the fact that it was,
So what do you think that he didn't do correctly?
well, I've lived in the county for 42 years. I had no traffic violations, DWIs. I'm thinking he could have given me a little bit of a break because he thought I ran a red light. I wasn't speeding. The speed limit was 30 miles an hour. And when I got to it, I probably could have safely braked down and stopped. But that's but second I decided I'm going to go through. And I knew he was sitting there with the only two vehicles in the intersection.
Anything else you want
Yes.
to let me know?
Yes, one of the real reasons I'm here, Your Honor, is that 2 days later, I had some friends call me up and said, Phil, what went on? I said, in regards to what? I told them I got picked up for going through the lights at 3570. Said, no, you were with he's got you down for being drunk and you were with a minor. I said, what? What are you talking about? So they give me the paper.
I'm just gonna say you can't rely on what's stated in the paper.
Well, I'll tell you what people
They tell
read.
you that I say lots of things and I don't.
It's in the Burnett County bookings. Okay? And it says Philip H. Ambling, 82, Siren OWI with minor child and vehicle. Now, what do people think when they read something like that?
I totally understand that. And that's a totally different matter. And that's not here because I don't have you. That's not the ticket that I have that you're issued to. That's an issue that you have to take up with the paper, okay? Because the paper incorrectly cited,
Who gave them the information?
they get it themselves. I'm gonna tell you, Mr. Ambling, they say that I love puppies, I hate puppies. I love bears, I hate bears. They say that I love men, I hate men. They say that I love chickens and I hate chickens and all of these things. They don't know. Papers don't come to court. They don't listen. They don't talk. They don't ask. They get their
No,
stuff by
okay.
just getting their stuff.
How do you think it makes me feel to see that about myself in a paper being incorrect and untrue? And friends asking me about it because they believe what they read.
So Mr. Ambling, your issue with that is with the paper, okay? But here today, we're here on your refusal hearing and why
Okay.
you refused to take the
Okay,
necessary sobriety tests, okay? Okay. But I understand, and I'm sure everybody in here understands the issue with what was cited there. But I'm looking at or what was stated in the paper. But I'm looking at the citation right here that Officer Pardun wrote. There is absolutely nothing in it that says that you had a minor with you.
that's
Nothing.
correct.
Right. And I'm just letting you know so you can feel confident that Officer Pardun nor did Mr. Benson cite you with OWI with a minor. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Now, what else would you like for me to know?
I want to know where we're supposed to go with this from here because I'm going to plead not guilty no matter what.
That's totally fine.
Okay,
But again, that's The OWI is completely different for today's purposes. Today is what's called a refusal hearing
Okay,
and why you refused to cooperate and to do the field sobriety and the PBT, okay?
Okay.
All right.
may I ask a question?
I can't guarantee I can answer it.
So the next time I come in, I should bring evidence of what I was,
We'll talk about the next step
Okay,
after we're
all
done
right.
here
I
today.
have nothing more to say then, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Benson, questions?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Ambelang, it's your testimony that you were on 3 heavy medications
Yes.
on that date. And then you also testified that you were drinking alcohol while using those medications.
But just a few and time before that. Yeah,
And-
you're right. Probably shouldn't have done that, but I've been in lockup for 6 weeks. And I wanted to get out with my friends and have a couple of beers. And I didn't find no fault in that.
So,
And when I proceeded home, I drove straight and narrow at the speed limit. I didn't go left to center. I didn't go right. I drove perfectly.
do any of those medications say that you can consume alcohol while you use them?
It doesn't give me permission. It says it's not advised.
Okay. Now you told the officer that you weren't physically able to do the field sobriety testing, correct?
Physically, no, I didn't say
Okay.
physically. I just said I won't pass it.
Okay. Well, no. You said the field sobriety testing is what I'm talking about. So when he asked you to take the PBT test to breathe into the little machine that he had, was there anything that physically prevented you from being able to do that?
No,
When he brought you to the jail and asked you if he would submit to give a chemical test of your breath, was there anything that physically would have prevented you from giving a sample of your breath?
no.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Based on that, Mr. Ambeling, do you have anything else that you want to add or say?
None to say, Your Honor. Thank you.
Argument, Mr. Benson, evidence is closed.
Thank you. Your Honor, we've established that this incident took place within the village of Siren. It's properly in its jurisdiction. It was uncontroverted testimony that Officer Pardun read the informing the accused form to Mr. Ambelang, and that form tells us, among other things, that a person is deemed to have consented to a chemical test by being on a Wisconsin roadway, that the refusal to submit to that test shall result in license revocation. He was also told he could have obtained an alternate test, not at that time, and that he could have additional tests at his or her own expense. He was physically able to provide a breath sample and refused to do so. There was probable cause to pull him over because, as the officer testified, Mr. Ambelang ran a red light. So his refusal was not reasonable under the circumstances, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Ambeling,
Yeah, I didn't know my license was being revoked. But where does it say that?
that's what this hearing's about.
It said 6 points or pay a fine.
That's the OWI part, but the part is that's why I tried to tell you that this is a 2-part matter.
Okay,
The fact that you refused the test
Okay.
mean that if you can't meet your burden of showing that you are under that exception, then the court must revoke your driver's license for, I believe it's for a period of 1 year or it's 2 years. I would have to look over because quite honestly, we have not had very many revocation hearings in the last
Mhm.
2 years. So that's what this hearing is, for the court to determine whether or not you had a reasonable basis
okay,
to say, no, I can't, I'm not going to do those tests.
Okay.
And if you don't, the court revokes your driver's license. And then the next step is where we would set a status for you to have discussions with Mr. Benson to see if you can resolve the matter. And if not, we set it for a jury trial
Mhm.
Or a court trial of your choosing for you to present your case to
Okay.
be determined, determined if you are guilty or not guilty of the OWI offense. And this is a forfeiture. It's a ticket. It's not a crime in Wisconsin. OWI first is not a crime in Wisconsin. So this hearing is the very first hearing about, did you have a reasonable basis to refuse to
Okay.
engage in those tests?
I understand.
Okay?
Yes.
All right. So anything else you want to let me know or argument on your behalf, Mr. Ambling?
No, I seem to be digging myself a hole in the ground here by doing that, so I'm gonna just be silent and wait for whatever the next step is.
Mr. Ambling, the law is, it's very clear and it's clear for a reason. And quite honestly, Wisconsin is probably the only state, I can't say the only state, but we're one of the very few states that have the OWI first as a forfeiture. And because of that, there are other safeguards built into the system. These are built into other states as well, but here in Wisconsin, and that would be the officer would first need to determine if there's probable cause in order to stop you and to determine to have probable cause to believe that you are driving while impaired, okay, under the influence and driving in an impaired way. Here we had Officer Pardun, who parks in the village of Siren, and it's usually by community bank-ish area. I mean, he's not hiding, it's right there. He's in the marked squad right at the light.
Yes, I saw him.
Yep, and then he witnessed and he saw that you didn't stop at the stop sign or a stoplight. And so that gives probable cause to pull you over to determine, okay, there's a traffic offense may or was committed, okay? So he pulled you over and then he smelled an odor of intoxicants. All right, he smelled the odor. That alone doesn't provide the probable cause or reasonable suspicion, but then he asked other questions. And then after that, he doesn't have the right, he has the duty to read to you that entire document. He needs to say, okay, he has to do certain things. All right, I have reason to believe, probable cause to believe that you were operating while impaired. And so now I want to do these other tests. And then you said, I won't pass those tests. I've been taking 3 very serious medications and I've had 3 to 4 beers within the period of whatever time, if you told him the time, whatever, but you admitted to drinking alcohol. Okay. And then you said, but I'm not going to pass the field sobriety test. I just know it because of these medications. And then he offered you to do the PBT and you again refused to do that. And the court has to determine whether or not that your refusal was reasonable. And you have the law right in front of you there, which, and I'll read it to you, that it says that whether the person refused to permit to the test, the person shall not be considered to have refused the test if it is shown by a preponderance of the evidence that the refusal was due to a physical inability to submit to the test due to physical disability or disease unrelated to the use of alcohol, controlled substances, controlled substance analogs, or other drugs. Prescription, non-prescription, all of the above, okay? And so you may have, you told him that, okay, I won't pass these field sobriety tests. Okay, then it goes on to the next step. The breath test, the PBT, the preliminary breath test. And you still refused to engage and to participate in that. And I have heard no information, I've heard no testimony that you can't blow into a machine, that you have a disability or you have something that would inhibit your ability to perform that activity upon request, okay? So I don't have the information here in front of me to say, okay, you meet this exception. Because the law says in the state of Wisconsin, you are submitting to and agreeing to abide by all of the traffic laws when you get your driver's license. That includes if the officer has certain criteria to take tests, that you have to engage in those tests. And you refuse to do so. And so by doing that, then the court has no other choice in a refusal hearing. With the facts that I have in front of me, I find that your refusal was not reasonable. And so what the court has to do is because I have the information and the facts are not on your side here, and the refusal was not reasonable, it was improper, I have to revoke your operating privileges for 1 year,
Right here on the spot.
right here on the
I have
spot.
nothing I can do about this, Your Honor. I live by myself. What am I going to do?
Your Honor.
Yes.
I would, if he would be willing to just plead to the OWI, I would find his refusal reasonable under the circumstances and ask the court to do so. And then I believe he would probably get down to a 6-month violation.
Okay, so do you understand what Mr. Benson is stating?
No, I do not.
What Mr. Benson is stating is he's like, you know what? I've heard all of this and I understand you're an 82-year-old man. This is your first infraction. You don't have a criminal history. You don't have driving infractions, all of those things. He's willing to tell the court or to ask the court to find that it would be reasonable. Overlook all of this, find it's reasonable. If you plead to this OWI, which is a ticket, then he will forget that. And then the revocation for an OWI is 6 months. But once you do your OWI assessment and driver safety plan, you can get your occupational driver's license. And that can be a quicker process instead of the whole year revocation. Because I'm not even certain you can get an occupational with a refusal. But I'm not giving you legal advice and I'm not telling you. Mr. Benson, if the court were to stay on its decision here today and give you some opportunity to speak a little bit further with Mr. Ambling about the law and the fact that he admitted here today on the record, which can be used against him, that he took 3 serious, heavy medications, which the law says anything in your system that would impair your driving would mean that it is clear and convincing, because it's not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's a lower level that Mr. Benson would have to prove, a lower level that you operated while impaired or under the influence of a substance, which could include prescription drugs, non-prescription drugs, illegal substances, or alcohol, or any combination of them all. So what I could do, if there's no objection, Mr. Benson, is stay my decision, give you some time to talk to Mr. Ambling, and we can see if this matter can be resolved.
That would be fine, Your Honor.
So now do you
I would
understand?
like to talk to him, yes,
Okay,
Your Honor.
so you understand all of that? So then what I'm gonna do,
basically.
is I'm gonna stay on my decision, not gonna decide right now. I'm gonna keep it on hold to allow you guys the ability to talk. So that means I'm not revoking your driver's license. Okay, not at this time. So talk to Mr. Benson and then see if you can resolve it. How long do you want, Mr. Benson?
Like a week. Would we just do we could do a phone hearing or a Zoom hearing or something?
Yes, we could do that.
So this is not a one-on-one conversation with Mr. Benson?
You're gonna have a one-on-one conversation
yes.
with him,
Okay,
but then you're gonna come back to court
okay,
and you're gonna say, you know what, Judge, we've resolved it. Okay? Or you're gonna say, we haven't, and this needs to go to trial.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
But at that time is when I'm gonna have to make a decision as to today's hearing. But I can do January 29th at 10:15.
Yes, I'll be in here later that morning, Your Honor, so.
what day of the week is that, Your Honor?
It's a Monday. Do Mondays work?
Yes, okay.
Okay, Monday, 10:15. You can call in. We can put the call-in number. So you can call in, so you don't have to drive or feel free to drive. Doesn't matter to me. Whatever you want to do, I'm okay with. And then you can show Mr. Benson that newspaper article and even Mr. Pardun. Not their fault. They did
I wasn't
nothing.
pointing the finger at him.
No,
Your Honor.
I know. I'm just
It's
letting you know,
somebody's
though.
fault.
But it's not the court's fault. It's not the officer's fault. It's not Mr. Benson's fault. If it says that, and I'm not doubting you that it does, we did not, nobody in this room or this building gave information to the paper that you had a minor with you. Okay, that was just an incorrect printing. And what they should do now is probably correct it in their next print. Okay, I know you're like,
Can newspapers be sued?
that would be a question for an attorney. They can, but I can't give you any information on that or what
Okay.
it takes to prove it.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll see you on the 29th at 10:15.
Okay,
All right.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.